Hey everybody, welcome to the Pace Studio here in New York City. We are really, really happy today to be joined by Emily Haines. Emily, thank you so much for coming and playing for us today.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
So people may know Emily as the frontwoman for the band Metric. She's also been a member of Broken Social Scene for years and years. But right now she has her second solo album coming out. Actually, it just came out September 15th.
Yeah, just on Friday.
It's called Choir of the Mind.
It is.
And you're going to do a couple songs from that record for us today, maybe one older one as well.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
So tell me about the first one you're going to do.
Yeah, so I want to do Legend of the Wild Horse. It's sort of this tale exploring like how you can get trapped in your life. And this, it's almost like a storybook kind of tale that you could read to a little kid. So maybe I'll just let the song speak for itself. I'll play it for you.
Great.
All right, here we go. Let me tell you about the legend of the wild horse. She escaped from the racetrack, ran away and never came back from the dark forest. For sanity, I remember this. Now that I'm fenced in, just like before, I swore I'll be your warrior. I swore I'll be your warrior. Yeah, I've been punched out 10 times or more. I swore I'll be your warrior. I swore I'll be your warrior, The legend of the wild horse. She got lost on a golf course. She got locked out of a life force. For sanity, I remember this. Now that I'm fenced in, just like before, I swore I'll be your warrior. I swore I'll be your warrior. Yeah, I've been punched out 10 times or more. I swore I'll be your warrior. I swore I'll be your warrior, Before you knew me, I'd dive from the roof. I'd swing from the trees and hang from the moon. Now that I'm fenced in, just like before, I swore I'll be your warrior. I swore I'll be your warrior. Yeah, I've been punched out 10 times or more. I swore I'll be your warrior. I swore I'll be your warrior, I was the wild horse.
Thank you very much. That's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about this record and songs like that one, which really seem to have a personal, obviously a personal element to it. And so it's been over a decade since your last album.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And whenever there is a gap like that, between records, I'm always curious, to ask the artist, not so much why, but what leads to that? This is sort of when this record needed to be made, or was this a record that you had in your head and in your hands for years, and you were building it as you went?
Yeah.
How does it happen now?
Yeah, it's true. It's a weird process of the whole thing of making a life from writing songs is a super weird life.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of in awe that I get to do this, and sometimes alarmed at the level of commitment. It's basically like I've given everything. I'm looking for new goats to sacrifice on the on the fire. But with this stuff, I felt so clearly that this was the moment, like that feeling of an orbit keeps coming back, that it was just like a lot of my life kind of cycled back around. And I found myself back in my hometown. And with Metric, things have been so intense. It just seemed like the window that we needed for this music to live, and for me to kind of just go back in and kind of check it in with where I'm actually at as a human being. And something about the piano my whole life since I was a little kid, it's like an altar. I kind of go there and discover what's true. So I'm always writing. In this case, I felt like these songs hit the marker of being useful to other people, which is why I released them. I don't really feel the need to release music just because I wrote it.
Right. Are these songs that you have had in a notebook for years and years?
There's a mix,
There's a mix?
Yeah, some things happened on the spot. Minefield of Memory from the record was definitely in the moment. Happened in the making of the record. Legend I wrote in Berlin in the past year. And then there's some lines and fragments like Fatal Gift, we thought was going to be a Metric song. We actually released it as 3 years ago.
That's the first single from the record, is it?
Yeah. And that one, it was kind of like, where's this going to land? And then it found its home on this record. So it's kind of a mix of things. And even that, is like such an unusual and strange process of when you arrive at what's right, why? I don't know. But you can feel it when it is.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
Right. And now felt like the time
it did,
for this to happen.
And it's nice, like all my pals, Broken Social Scene and that whole crew of people that I go back to being 15 years old with, we all kind of regrouped. And my friend Leslie Feist, she put out her record, and my pals Stars have their record coming out next month. And it's kind of this summit of all of us. So much has happened, obviously. And it's cool with fans too, like the people I've been talking to, for them, it's this marker of the decade in their life, obviously. Them thinking where they were when Knives came out.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, that was a pivotal time in their lives, and that record really connected with a lot of people I know. So I've had people writing to me being like, this record is doing something similar a decade later. And, it's a very cool thing to have an independent career as I've had, and have that real connection with people. I don't really care how many there are. It's a real connection, and kind of live your lives in parallel. It's cool.
Well, I know they're glad you're back.
Yeah,
it's been a weird decade.
That's right. You needed me. You need me now.
So tell us about the next one you're going to do. This one is also from Choir of the Mind.
I was thinking, I would do Wounded, actually. And this one, it's cool with this record. I've been doing this whole visual art component with this visual artist named Justin Broadbent. And all the colors and imagery and everything around it have a cohesion. And one thing you'll see from my album cover is the blue dress with the bat. And
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Don't ruin my next question.
I won't ruin your next question. But so this song sort of circles around the idea of this dress, and the relationship that you have to the person you were when you first had it, when you wore it, how you change, and so that's sort of connected a little bit to the imagery of the album cover. But I won't blow your next question.
All right, thank you.
I'll just play the song.
Every time I wear this dress, I'm back to the way I was when we met. I'm not like before. Hey, when you go to London next, remember the way I was, caught up in a useless test that nobody grades, so I never got what I thought I deserved. Girl, you got a wounded look. Give it a rest. Lay your weapon down beside my bed. Isn't it behind you yet? It's not like before. Hey, all abandoned hopes I have, with a best case escape plan. I remember your descent, and the only way to land is to crash and burn. What we do, it is grotesque, the pleasure we get, filling up a poison well of revenge. Every time I wear this dress, I'm back to the way I was when we met. Every time a little less, I'm not like before. Hey, that's what we all say. That's what we all say. I remember your descent, and the only way to land is to crash and burn.
Thank you. Another really beautiful song from the record.
Thank you.
I'm curious how these songs. You have three kind of acts, right? You have Broken Social Scene, you have Metric, you do your social solo
Yeah.
material. How do these songs? How do you know what
Yeah,
what
totally.
is what goes where?
Well,
you know,
and-
you were saying
yeah.
actually there was one that was going to be a Metric song, and it became a song for your solo. How do you know?
Well, and it's funny, there's actually a fourth category there too, which is all this film work that we do
Yeah.
as well. So it's like, it's really what I started to see is how it's working, because I could ask myself the same question. It's such a sort of mercurial and strange process.
Yeah.
But is that, you know, Jimmy and I, who've been working together our whole lives and will till the very end, we're in. You know, even though this is my solo record, he co-produced it with me, he mixed it, he's very much part of it. It's not
Yeah.
a like, I'm going away, it's more just developing as an artist. But so we just have gotten into this policy where we just show up for work. Like, we built our studio and we just show up every day. And then time passes, the work is there, and things just present themselves as obvious.
Yeah.
So, but in some cases, it's just sheer luck. Like, for example, Black Sheep, the song that ended up in Edgar Wright's film Scott Pilgrim with Nigel Godrich did the music. And it's very funny because Brian O'Malley's book, the character of Envy, is actually based on me, which is not very flattering at all, but kind of cool. I'll take it. And you can't take yourself too seriously, I think. So, But when they approached us about doing a song for the film, Edgar was like, we need something that's almost like Metric covering Metric. And Black Sheep is exactly that song. We didn't put it on Fantasies because it didn't fit.
Yeah.
When we played it for them, they kind of couldn't believe that it wasn't custom written for that, you know? So there are times when things don't fit, and that's okay.
Right.
Like,
but they
there's-
wind up sort of fitting.
They find their place
They
in the
find
world.
their place.
There's another whole collection of music that after we did Pagans in Vegas, which is the last Metric record, which was super synth heavy,
Yeah.
and scared some people because they were like, "Where are the guitars?" It's like, "Don't worry, they're coming back." But we were going to do a companion album that was this like totally organic orchestral thing, and we did. We recorded a 60-piece orchestra and all this stuff, and it sounds like a Bond soundtrack, and it's absolutely not the next Metric record.
Yeah.
It's not a solo record. It's cool. It's gonna live in a film somewhere, sometime. But so this kind of keeps happening where, partly due to the freedom we have as artists, having built our own company and have our own studio, we just kind of follow the work, and we don't really stop ourselves. If we have a vision, we fulfill it, and sometimes it falls between the cracks, and sometimes it falls wherever it falls. But you know, for my part, I'm always writing,
Right.
and Jimmy's always creating new sounds, finding new gear. As we speak, he's revamping Giant to prepare for the Metric sessions that'll start
Okay.
next week.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but yeah, it's a super strange process. But
Yeah.
I think I like the idea that we just, you know, a lot of your life as a musician, and people who are watching who are artists will know exactly what I'm talking about, is like you work for so long just to get the job in a way, and then now we just have such a commitment to the craft and to each other as a band, and you know, our friends who are musicians too, like just show up for work and keep
Yeah.
going, and there'll be stuff that you make that nobody needs to hear. That's cool. It's
Right.
all right, you know.
Yeah.
Just it's your process.
But
so.
you know, I mean,
yeah, ultimately, you know.
You know, right? And then on the songs on this album, you know, I was going to mention, so the cover image is pretty dramatic, I guess you might say. You're holding this baseball bat in a very kind of ominous, I'm about to do something with this
Is
kind
it?
of way.
I like this reading. I'm curious. to
Yeah,
get your reading.
yeah. I mean, that's how, you know, there's like, you know, that image of someone like tapping a baseball bat in their hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Because I felt
something's
like I
about
was-
to happen.
Right, wielding it delicately.
Yeah.
Sort of like I have the power.
Right.
But I'm not threatening anyone. But if I needed to, I could probably protect
So
myself.
not quite the hand tap of the bat,
No.
but almost there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. I love getting the read. I didn't, Justin, this artist that I worked with on all this work, as I was saying, we didn't want it to be, you know, aggressive.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
more self-possessed and, you know, just exploring power that's not supposed to be in a woman's hands, especially when she's wearing like washing up gloves.
Yeah, is that sort of an underlying concept to all the songs on this record, or the thing as a whole?
Yeah, I don't know that it's a concept to the songs, but Justin sort of created in tandem with the music this whole visual cinematic world that we're living in that I'm just so happy with, like, you know, and including, you know, because I didn't have any socials of my own, like no Instagram or Twitter or anything. We just had Metric stuff. So it's kind of been sweet to come into it super innocent and only do art. Like my Instagram is just art. And I feel so pure inside. It's not like, this is an omelet. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So
An artful omelet.
yeah,
A very
exactly.
lovely,
I mean,
lovely
probably,
looking
yeah.
omelet.
Probably once we go on tour, it'll be a little bit more colloquial. But right now, it's just been so great to create all these images and have threads run through everything. So this is very much Justin's brain. He's a massive feminist. So, you know, Orange Hoodie Girl. I don't know if you saw the press shot where it's the woman in the blue dress, also known as me,
Yeah.
holding a portrait of this
Of
this juvie, like,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
you know, problem child who looks like she's going to get up to some business. So throughout the videos, you know, Planets, we do have a bit more ominous where the orange hoodie is, the juvie is dragging the bat around in this sort of like Pac-Man repetition pattern. It's quite cool what he did for that. But in every video, this orange hoodie identity appears and sort of observes from various locations. And the thrilling conclusion will be revealed in the Legend of the Wild Horse video when that comes out eventually. So
Very cool.
It's really interesting to work with a visual artist who just has a whole palette of his own
Yeah.
and language. So it's, to your question, it's like it's not a theme throughout the album any more than just as a human being trying to grapple with my own problems. It definitely comes up of the idea of being self-possessed, the being socially acceptable, the version of me that people would like to see, my failure to be that, or that sort of struggle with conformity that I think we all have in different ways, and the idea that we all have this inner orange hoodie person who's kind of better.
Yeah, right. Dragging the baseball bat behind us.
Totally, yeah.
Right.
And impulsive and like sexual and fun and scary. And then there's the sort of age appropriate, buttoned up person, adult, who's supposed to be running the show. So definitely in my life, between those two.
Yeah, and the idea of sort of the dichotomy of like the person you are and the person you present yourself as has all kinds of meanings now that we won't get into here, but I could totally ask you more questions about this.
No, for sure. Because I love that with this record, the themes and with the title Choir of the Mind too, is like it's just spawned really, really great conversations I've had with people. It's obviously not about me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pace Studio. We are here once again with Emily Haines, and thanks for bearing with us. We had a little bit of a technical glitch, but we are back. And Emily has done 2 songs for us from her new record, which is called Choir of the Mind, and she's going to do one more. And this one is actually from her first album, which came out all the way back in 2006. It's called it was called Knives Don't Have Your Back. And so tell us a little bit about what that song is and how it fits in.
Yeah, well, it's crazy with Knives because that was, looking back, and anytime I start to get these songs back under my hands, it's a complete time trip, time portal freak out, which songs actually are, as a side note, because they exist in so many ways. Like they exist in a recording, but then every time I play it, I really inhabit it. So I'm taken back to that era, which was Los Angeles, and that album was very much inspired by and in the fog of the fact that I lost my father, who was a great poet and person, Paul Haines, and he died the day that we finished recording our first album, Old World Underground.
Wow.
Metric. And it was brutal because I was in LA and I found out in a really wrong way, and I was completely alone and disoriented, like when you're in shock, and I couldn't remember my address. It was just like bad.
Yeah.
And I was in this corporate environment and nobody was helping me. And then I managed to reach out to someone from the back who turned around and ended up being a Canadian guy. And I was like, help me, I don't know who I am, basically. Really brutal. Fun to laugh about now, many years later. Ha ha. But he very kindly got me back to where I was living in Hollywood, and has since actually come to Metric shows. Like we stayed in touch with him. But that time, and anybody who's lost someone knows that you're in a fog and you don't know you're in a fog, and you're in the fog going, I know I'm in the fog, but that's also the fog. Like you don't know anything. So I felt very fortunate to be able to use the work to get through that time. I really went under. And the good thing that came of that, though, is that through that music, I really connected with a lot of people, and since then have heard like how much that record helped people out. So that's the point, I guess.
And that's sort of what we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, like what makes the cut is something that will help somebody out. So it's because I'm really not interested in and have no attraction to super miserable music. Like I actually don't believe in super sad music, and I think that people who get what I'm doing understand this, that like if I'm bringing this out, it's because the light shone down there, and now this is something that somebody could potentially use in also pulling themselves up. It's very different from being like, I'm down here like in the inky murky bottom of despair, like come on
come
down.
wallow with me.
Right, not at all.
And
the concentration and the focus and the like rawness that's required to pull yourself together to construct a song and not just write it but record it and then perform it and own it in front of people and own how broken you are. That's I think where that things get interesting and become valuable. And like I feel the same way about people I meet, like people who have that perfect mask. It's just so dull. It's so boring in art and in humans. It's all the same thing, right? So Anyway, so the song I thought I would play from Knives is called "The Maid Needs a Maid." It's kind of my take on Neil Young's "The Man Needs a Maid."
Yeah.
And it really took me by surprise because, like, readdressing this song and bringing it back into my body and mind, because I was like, oh yeah, like that's funny, that line, bros before hoes, you know. And then once I played it again, I remembered what happened and what prompted the writing of this song, and it was so grim. I was just like, this is still true in so many ways. And then looking at my life as a woman, it's like, I'm a straight woman. I need a wife. I am the maid. I need a maid. I help. There's no construct for me to turn to for like a life of complete commitment to my art and what that means in terms of travel and availability and domesticity. And all these themes are actually on the new record as well. I guess that's kind of like, it's a line from On Choir of the Mind in Strangle All Romance of like, love is my labor of life and my life is a labor of love. It's just that sort of cozy life seems to have still eluded me. I'm trying.
You need a maid.
What's that?
You need a maid.
I need a maid.
Or something that stands in for a maid.
Yeah, well, I need the person that I describe in this song.
Right.
So I'm glad that we talked about this before I played it, because last time I kind of just barged into the song. I was like, ha, and then I got completely washed away. So let's see what happens when I play "The Maid Needs a Maid." Bros before hoes disagree on the sidelines. Fight for a fee. The man needs a maid. The maid needs a maid. Before hoes is a rule. Read the guidelines. You trouble me. Your breasts heave when you sing. Your mouth should be working for me for free. Sewing up the fold, 'cause I've been laid up. Would you put on the fire for me? Draw the bath and remind me to eat. You won't need a real job. You won't need a real job, because I would love to pay for you. You
Another beautiful song. I have to take a second. So that was 3 songs already. I can't believe it. The new album, this is Emily Haines. The new album is Choir of the Mind. It came out on September 15th. And I don't know if you're on tour yet, but there are dates coming up.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this tour because as I've mentioned, I have this like really amazing team of people that I work with. We're this little skeleton crew, pardon the pun, soft skeleton. But
Soft Skeleton, right.
Yeah,
I should mention the band Emily Haines and Soft
the
Skeleton.
Yeah. I will be touring with the band and doing songs from the new record and songs from the old and going deep into this mood. But I really wanted to do an unusual tour of taking people to rooms that they wouldn't normally go to and trying to set up an opportunity for a new experience. Like we've all stood around on concrete with a vodka soda in a plastic cup. But maybe not that.
Yeah.
So
better cups.
Yeah. So we're doing like the Murmur Theater.
Yeah, the Murmur Theater in Brooklyn, which is an all new. I haven't been there yet.
It's supposed to be beautiful. I mean, my one of the guys in my management, this guy David Timmons, he just worked so hard on this with my agent Daryl at CAA. Like they just were like, we're going to find the beautiful spot. So we're doing that here. We're doing Hollywood Cemetery in LA, Massey Hall in Toronto, and just it's going to be a beautiful tour. So that's in November and December. It's kind of nice how this is like unfolding too, because the record came out on Friday. Doing this with you guys is like the totally natural. This feels so right to just play it and have people be able to hear it. And then I'm going to go back in the studio with Metric and then loop back around for the tour. And I get to do Desert Days too. Do you know that festival in Joshua Tree?
Yeah.
I'm doing that on the 15th. I think I'm on the 15th. That's the weekend of October.
October 15th,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I'm so excited because Kurt Vile and Courtney Barnett's record, they're doing their thing. And Kruangbin, who I love, are playing. I think the Alalas are playing. So that'll be
Great
my
lineup.
first, I know. It'll be my first sort of official concert. And it's in this Frank Lloyd Wright designed building where I think everyone's going to sit cross-legged on the floor. It's going to be super culty. It's going to be great. I'll definitely
Perfect for Joshua Tree.
Yeah, and I'll be in juvie mode for sure.
Right, of course. And so all of those dates, for anyone who wants to check them out, they're on emilyhaines.com.
They are.
And so the album is called Choir of the Mind, and congratulations on it. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming to play for us here at Paste and
Yeah,
bearing with us through a little technical thing.
Oh, no worries. And the gorgeous Steinway. Thank you to Steinway.
Oh yeah, indeed. It sounded
Beautiful.
amazing.
If these could just be everywhere in every room where I go, I'd be a much calmer.
Yeah, we'll send it around
person.
with you. I think it folds up
It's
actually
good, yeah,
into like a
it's carry-on.
suitcase kind of a thing.
Yeah, no problems.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you very much again,
Thank you.
and come back anytime.
Love to.